All right. Are we live?
All right. Welcome back, AO.
Welcome to your everyday rock. Take two.
I'm not going to edit that out.
Oh, come on.
No.
All right. We're live.
Welcome back to your Everyday Rich podcast. We're your hosts, Jason and Jennifer. Your Everyday Rich, the whole Everyday Rich network, as we like to call it, is essentially a financial literacy movement that we've really want to push and start amongst millennials and really people with just that want to get further along in your life. And it's sparked by living room conversations so that we can empower you to make the best financial decisions to help you live your everyday rich. And really, ultimately, you decide how to do that. But having a little bit of information, having a little bit of some game from us, from people that we interview, the experiences that we have, experiences they have, that's the game you need, right? That's the game hopefully you can take and use it to your advantage. But today, this convo, like we like to say, we like to highlight our friends' businesses because we're big supporters of small business. But we want to shout out to Portraits on White, good friends at Portraits on White. You're probably the top-notch photo booth team in the Greater Toronto area. Anyways, but check them out, Portraits on White, black and white, classy photo booth photos. No gimmicky props and stuff like that. Hey, no offense if you had a wedding that had gimmicky props. I don't remember because I was probably drunk at all of them. But
You mean those things that you like?
yeah, the fake mustaches, the hats.
Yeah. The boas.
It's like a New Year's party, 2022.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've been to a lot of those parties with those photo booths.
You don't need
They're
props.
fun.
You don't need props. You know why? Your face being inebriated in that environment with your friends.
But those are different photos. Those are like silly photos.
You can still have silly, classy black and white photos.
Okay.
But anyways, check them out. Portraits on White. Okay, so conversation that we wanted to have today was spurred on an article that I came across in MoneySense magazine. Well, the online source now. I don't read the magazines. But the headline was essentially 80% of high net worth women leave money decisions to their spouse.
Which is odd, I would say, because you would think whether it's man or woman that has a high net worth, they are, I guess, well educated in finance. That's the assumption, right? That's kind of like the weird thing. You would think a high net worth individual would be well versed in the world of finance.
And that was the first thought I remember reading this headline. I was like, remember I showed you? I was like, look at this. Mm-hmm. And I was quite stunned, actually. But as I read through the article, they made some interesting assumptions and interesting points based on the data that they collected, right? Mm-hmm. This was a survey done by UBS. And the article, we're just reading this, right? Basically said 80% of the high net worth women left their money decisions to their spouse, mainly because of the lack of knowledge or them stating that they did not have sufficient time, or they did not have the interest or the energy to make the financial decisions when it came to planning their money, planning around their money.
Well, there were two other things that I mentioned in the artitle too. So that's just one of them, is saying yes, they didn't have the time, the time or money, or they felt like, time and knowledge was one. Two was that they felt like leaving these decisions to their husband or partner or whatever would balance out the relationship from a power point of view, which is kind of weird. But number 3, which is I can relate to, is that a lot of women are also caregivers for the children.
Yep.
Right? The main caregiver in the household. So when they come home from a job, when it's 5 o'clock, so come home from the job, like now they're going on a second job. So now I got to go to my second shift, which is, you know, taking care of your children or maybe taking care of the elderly, like if you live with your, you know, parents or in-laws, right? So those are kind of the 3, I found the 3 points that I got out of that. The 3 reasons why, or at least they think why, you know, a lot of these women leave the financial decisions to their husband.
Yeah, that point really did highlight some social fabric issues that we continue to have as a society, right? Where these traditional roles, right, of wife or husband.
Yeah.
This whole joke that we had going on when we were, when I guess we were dating, and then when we got to know each other's parents, and we kind of almost established these roles because like it's part of your upbringing. You're the man, you do the outside work.
Yep.
I'm the woman, I will do the inside work.
Yep.
I do
The household chores.
The chores.
The dishes,
I don't want to get my nails dirty with the mud outside.
Yeah.
But, you know, these kind of roles. But it's true, right? Because then, I guess traditionally in a family nucleus, a household, you do have those kind of segmentations still. As much as we try to say no, like we don't want to have that. We try really hard not to have these kind of role definitions, but sometimes there are instances where, you know, just physically, you know, it's easier for me to do heavier lifting on things like yard work or whatever, right? Because, you know, that's just physiologically it's easier. But yeah, like
I think in tradition, like a lot of times where, and maybe it's more from like, it dates back to when women, you know, before this whole, forget about this high net worth individual or women point of view. Like if you think about 20, 30 years ago, women weren't educated. They weren't allowed to be educated, right? Yep. Men were the one who were going to school, right? Women, like even like my mom only finished, and your mom probably only finished high school.
Yeah.
And that was it. And that was the norm.
Yeah.
Right? And all of my mom's brothers, they got sent to post-secondary.
Same with my uncles.
And all the sisters, like my mom came from a family of 8. There were 5 girls and 2 boys. And all the women went to high school and then they went to work. Versus the men, the brothers, you know, went to high school, got post-secondary, and then went to work, right? So that was kind of like the norm back then where women, it wasn't the norm for women to get further education, right? And then eventually they get married and then a lot of them become stay-at-home moms, right? That was the norm, right? So that society or that kind of culture didn't allow for women to, I guess, learn about finances. So as a result, they took a back seat on that particular role in the household, right?
Yeah, and that goes to basically like it's hard for you to learn and be immersed in a topic when you're not exposed to that environment. Yeah. So if you're not working, how do you understand the concept of what a paycheck is? Deductions, taxation, negotiating a raise, all these things that revolve around money. And if it's just one-sided of it, then it becomes very difficult for you to pick that up. And especially like if you're really focused, like, you know, it's weird. Like my mom, like you were mentioning, stay at home. My mom, a short career stint in corporate, did become a stay-at-home mom, which is the most thankless job
for sure
in the world.
But
right?
Unfortunately, it has nothing to do with finance.
Exactly. That's the unfortunate
that's
part.
That's the reality, right? Yeah.
But the weird thing is that my mom actually took care of all the finances, right? It was like dad came home, hey, get some money to go buy some pizza. Ask your mom; she has all of it now. So, you know, but when it comes down to this whole thing, where you're right, women do have the opportunity now, and realistically, in this day and age, I sure am going to make it I hopefully have push everyone to learn about this because it's so important. Whether you're a man, a woman, whether you're
a teenager,
a plus minus, whatever the denomination you call yourself, like
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You can put it on YouTube and you can learn it.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Like 20, 30 years ago, the only way you can learn about finances is either through school, if whatever they taught you in school.
Yeah. Which was not much.
Which is not much. Or if you picked up a book.
Yeah.
And honestly, like how often will anybody
this
go?
Thing?
Yeah, like how often would someone go pick up a book to read about finances? Like it takes time for you to digest a book like that.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time. Versus now, there's so much information out there at the tip of fingertips. Now, of course, there's going to be a caveat to that. Not everything is accurate out there, but still, like you go on YouTube, you can just do a Google search. You can go to ChatGPT. Like you can get so much information. Information is everywhere. It's just so much easier to learn about something than it was back then.
Right. And the thing I did want to highlight here in that caught my eye during the article was all that stuff about it. Like they were completely valid points, and it made you really think. When it comes down to it, it's ultimately like, okay, time, yes. Can you find the time? Sure, you can find the time. Do you have the energy? Yes, I'm tired, but can you find the energy? Right, prioritizing different things. When it comes down to it, is this interest part.
That's
right?
The hard part.
That is the hardest part.
Most people don't want to read about.
No.
And admittedly, it is boring. It can get boring about reading.
Well, that's the whole point, is that You're Everyday Rich is trying to make it not boring, all right? Yeah. So it's like educate, right? Yeah. So that, okay, you know what? Yes, financial literacy is a typically male, pale, boring topic. But you know what?
It's not as exciting as the Kardashians.
How about making money like the Kardashians?
Yeah.
Is that exciting?
Yeah.
Then if you reframe it like that, then yes, it can be hell of exciting to make great financial decisions, to empower yourself, to put you in positions where you don't have to worry about that shit anymore. Right? So that's kind of the reframing, right? But this whole interest thing came to another point in the article they talked about where, you know, at some point there's going to be life circumstances that will change this whole need for women in this article to be forced to learn.
Yeah.
So whether you go through a divorce or widowhood, and all of a sudden, if the husband was taking care of all the money and the financial planning, you're left with
figuring it out on your own,
on the fly, under emotional distress.
Yeah.
Which is never good when you mix money.
Yep.
So this is the whole point when it got to this in the article, was that like, what can you do beforehand so you're not left in a position where you are reliant on potentially someone else, right? Whether now it's a financial advisor you never talk to, it's your uncle that knows jack shit about whatever. No, this is not a reference to any of my uncles or anything like that, okay? But you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to be in that position where you don't have just the basic knowledge of not knowing what to do. Or where things are. Yeah.
Well, that's why it's so important that, you know, that as a couple, if you do have a partner, that you're reviewing finances together, making financial decisions together. Yep. Right? Of course, is one person going to do most of the administrative work? Like one person's going to pay the bill, one person's going to, you know, maybe check up on stuff. But when it comes down to making financial decisions, like it should be being done together.
Yeah, as a team. Right? Yeah.
So like the other person's still aware. Like even the other person that's like physically doing whatever needs to be done, going to the bank, you know, paying the bills online, whatever it is, right? Yeah, there's only one person that can do that. Yeah. But you should still have a discussion about it, right? So that the other person knows, you know, how much is going towards that bill, or how much is, what kind of debt do we have for this, and this, right? So it's just an awareness, right? Yeah,
when it comes to planning, like it's always good to get your partner involved, because the idea is that you are building this life together. Everyone should be aware of what the overall plan is. Yeah. You don't need to know what the path is, right? It's like, hey, this is the box we're going to be playing in, and I'm letting you know kind of what all the pieces are.
Yeah.
What do you think? And it's like, oh, I don't know jack shit about this. Okay, well, here's what I understand. Here's what I think we should be doing. And through that natural process, I think there is this natural curiosity that does come into it in effect.
Yep.
Whereas if you're asking questions about this money stuff and what are we doing with it, how do we make more? How do we grow more? Yeah, I sure hope you have this natural curiosity about like, oh, okay. Other than, well, I mean, there's the joke about just make more money for me so I can buy more stuff, please. And I'll sit back and relax. I would love that too. But you know what? No, you're right. Doing it together as a team.
Yeah.
Like you want to have that cohesiveness, that teamwork. Because ultimately, yes, delegate. You want to delegate. And, you know, not everyone, you don't need to replicate and duplicate tasks. So.
No, as one person do the task, as long
Yeah.
as you're making the financial decisions together, setting goals together,
Yep.
so that you're aware of the financial situation of your family,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And let's hope, in the end, that person doesn't become divorced or widowed or whatever. But in a case that does happen, you have something to work with.
You have a grasp of the overall picture.
Yeah.
Right. You have enough information to be dangerous. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
You just kind of know top level what's going on, because being blind in a storm, no headlights, no navigation system,
It's hard.
it's really hard, man. And I've seen that happen before. And it's challenging, right? But I think if you're thinking about it, like, if you have a situation like that right now, it starts with understanding kind of what your assets are, what your liabilities are, where your accounts are. And maybe it's even going as far as creating a will, an estate plan, right? You got kids, you got rental properties now, you got a stock portfolio. If you've been working for 15 plus years now, you're a millennial. It's something that you should think about, right? And this is not advice, but just a suggestion. So, because it's a greater awareness, right? Remember, greater awareness puts you in a position for you to be able to make better decisions that really hopefully help you out.
For sure.
So,
All right.
yeah, that was it. Actually, interesting. We'll leave off this whole, remember that equalization of power in the relationship? If you guys have watched the new Netflix show, How to Be Rich.
How to Get Rich.
How to Get Rich.
With Ramit.
Yeah, Ramit Sethi.
Sethi, yeah.
There's an episode with that couple where the woman was the wife was making all the money.
Yeah, she's a high income earner.
Yeah.
And she lived with her husband. They had, I think, 2 kids.
Yeah, the husband is a engineer but doesn't work
Anymore.
currently.
Or what was an engineer and then quit his job to stay at home to take care of the kids. And their dynamic changed once that happened. And basically, she didn't allow him to make any of the financial decisions.
Well, she kind of resented
within the
him.
family. Yeah, she resented him for basically not bringing any money into the household. And as a result, wouldn't allow him. She didn't trust him with any financial decisions.
But it's funny. It's weird because that dynamic was so weird, because it's not like he doesn't have the ability to make money. He just currently doesn't make any money. And as an engineer, I didn't go into that. But when he was talking, it sounded like he actually understands, like, how the money works and how these things work. She was just more like, I make the money, I get to spend it. But she actually didn't have a plan in place.
Well, she just said basically, I make the money.
Yeah.
That's why I get to make the decisions.
Yeah.
That was her thing.
Yeah.
Right? It was like you said, it was a resentment thing, right?
Yeah.
We still got to watch the next episode to see what happens to them. But it was interesting, like when it came to, when he talked about power in their relationship, and that was opposite of what this article is saying, because she didn't give him any power.
Yeah.
Right? The article said women leave the decision to the man to equalize the power. She didn't equalize it all. She took it all.
Okay.
So that was interesting, actually.
It was episode. Remember, 4 out of 5 women do this.
Yeah, so she's the one.
She was the one.
The 1 in 5.
the 20%.
She did not relinquish the power. She just took it all.
She was listening to the locks. Money, power, respect.
Yeah.
You know?
Anyways, we'll have to see what happens in the next episode, but it'd be interesting to see how they work it out.
Yeah. Well, we're going to work it out by thanking you for listening. You can help us out by sharing this episode with someone that you think could benefit from this conversation so they can empower themselves to make great money decisions, live their everyday rich. That's the only way that we can grow this and really kind of create this movement for millennials and people that are navigating these situations just like us. And hopefully you can relate to that and share it with someone that you believe that could get some help from this. Mm-hmm. But yeah, pay the fee for us, please. Share, like, comment, rate, subscribe, whatever, all those things. All right. So till next time, I think I will relinquish power here and go get a snack.
Alrighty.
All right.
See ya.
Peace.
Your Everyday Rich podcast is presented solely for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. Any such information or other material should not be construed as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a qualified professional.